I recently had a philosophical question. Do not pay attention, this is normal for an old man. So, what kind of Soviet car will definitely not be forgotten? What kind of car will they recognize right away? And I think I know which one. This is UAZ-69 for the duration of the war. And this is UAZ-69 in the rest of peacetime. The car was not created without a reason. The design of the car was the correct continuation of the Soviet design developments of the Gorky automobile plant. The development of this car began in 1946, and in 1948, the first ordinary samples were released into the expanses of the USSR for testing. Officially, the year of birth of the 69th can be considered 1953. Until 56, it was produced at the gas plant. With 54, it was also produced at the UAZ plant. Was there a significant difference between them? Only in small things, but the most recognizable is the inscription on the hood, in our case UAZ. During the years of World War II, the SUV scheme was perfected to perfection. So much so that even today there is nowhere without it. The basis is the frame and everything is installed on it. Here is such a body. With 2 doors it is a UAZ-69. And with 4 doors, this is a UAZ-69A. And do you know how many people it is designed for? For 8. 2 in front and 3 people on the back benches. Now I will show you everything. This vehicle is dual purpose. It's practical. To hide its military orientation, the name worker, or truznik on Russian, was used during development. But where exactly the workers should work is a completely different story. The cats are following me. 6 soldiers behind, but very quickly, if necessary, this car can be turned into an ambulance. The front seat folds down, and the stretcher is fastened with a special fastener in front and on the back side. It's just right here in length. The nurse sits on the remaining bench. Under the bench is a place for boxes. You can also remove the roof, but we will not do this, because laziness. The front glass also leans back, which neatly rests on the hood and fastens. Suspension, that's the key to the survivability and patency of the car. Although what kind of suspension is there? There are car axle here. Although they are not from him. The 69th was sometimes modernized. And after 1970, they began to install axles from the UAZ 452 Bukhanka. Restyled axles, with external similarities and the same dimensions, had a number of differences. The first is a 4-gear differential. It is more tenacious than the previous one. Secondly, couplings were installed here to turn off the hubs. But what was unchanged is the engine. Now listen carefully. UAZ was created in such a way as to be unified with Pobeda. That is, an SUV based on components from a passenger car. How do you like that? The headlights and the motor are installed here from the Pobeda car. There are many more interesting things. 4-cylinder engine, volume 2,120 cubic centimeters, maximum power 52 horsepower at 3,600 RPM, torque 127 Newton meters at 2,000 RPM. The sidewalls are removed here to make repairs easier. But the most interesting thing is that an analog preheater was installed here. Now I will try to explain to you how it works. Turning the steering wheel to the right opens a hole that used to be a hatch that led to the preheater boiler pipe. Initially there was a hatch, now there is just a hole here. The hatch was opened, a blowtorch was taken and water or oil was heated with space gasoline plasma. It was also possible to heat it in dry conditions. Some water was poured into the engine and due to the hot steam, it all heated up, then the engine started and the missing water was added. There is one more feature of the two-door UAZ. The driver's door is shorter than the passenger's, and all because of the spare wheel. Why they didn't move it further, I'll never know. But someone came up with it. And someone steals pines from the forest. In the cabin you can see a large problem. A normal person would say so, there's nothing here, and I'll tell you there is everything. An iron floor, where dirt is more often an element of decor. Seats that tell you that you are not going to rest, but on business of national importance. Interior trim completely painted. No need to worry about scratches, if there is always a brush. There is nothing to talk about here, but there is an echo. Gear lever, with 3 gears, also from Pobeda. The only thing is that the lever moved on the floor. Transfer case levers. There are 2 gas tanks, one main, and the second here. Main tank 47 liters, cabin 28 liters, but in the 4-door UAZ-69A there is only one tank. You can check the level in the main tank fuel. Here is a dipstick under the floor. Now let's find out. There is. And in addition, it is impossible. The engine is started with the foot. First, we press the ignition switch, and then we need to put pressure on the additional pedal. This pedal directly affects the starter. Sound motor is not similar to Pobeda. The reason for this is a different resonator. In the cabin, because of the metal, the sound of the engine is heard very well as the smell. It is cold here. Why? And because the heating only blows on the windshield. If you want to keep warm, open the air intake to the street. While you are driving and turning the steering wheel, you press the pedals, it's warm. If you stopped, died. Movement is life. The car is slow by today's standards. Acceleration to 60 miles per hour is missing. The maximum is 55 and only on a flat road, otherwise it is dangerous. An unloaded UAZ, because of the short base and stiff springs, jumps like on a roller coaster. But if you load, then everything is great. The machine can carry up to 1,100 pounds of cargo, also tow a trailer with a gross weight of 1,850 pounds. The car is kind and understandable. 3 transmissions. Synchronized the second and third. It shifts easily. No need to depress the clutch twice. But the car saw the road very rarely. Its element. Here. The car has long and almost endless gears. Of course, you have to get used to the box. Sometimes it crunches. Ground clearance 8 inches. Short overhangs and stiff suspension. This is what you need for off-road. But friends, in this car, connecting all-wheel drive is not very easy. You have to get out of the car and make an effort. Damn. What if you need to evacuate? The front axle hub, switchable. This allows a little save. Save fuel. I love this sound. We turn the gear until connected. From two sides. Ready. The transfer case is two-stage. You can connect front-wheel drive and also turn on a lower gear if the situation is very difficult. And now I'll show you what this car is capable of. Excuse me. Didn't start. The pit is deep, but I'm not afraid. First gear opposite second. This is to make it easy to rock the car if you get stuck. If a low gear is engaged, then you can start moving from the second one. Misha, I also want such a car. Find and fix one for me. Okay, you promised me. I drive in a low gear and the car drives confidently. In third gear. Easily. To be honest, I didn't expect it to be so easy. I don't like driving through mud and tormenting the car. But I understand that for this car, this is not a mockery. Also, the steering wheel is very easy to turn. This car is a tool for humiliating the terrain. If the UAZ is driven by a skilled driver, then he is not afraid of any obstacles. Almost. This car can ford up to 3 feet. It can climb up to 30 degrees without problems. The car turned out to be so successful that so many countries were exported that it was even too lazy to list them. UAZ was produced abroad. He participated in competitions and won. It's not just a car, it's a member of the family. That's what UAZ-69. And we keep on hunting.